Hi everyone, my last Crypt video, which I linked in the video description, was about achieving the highest possible number of points in this mode. Today I will introduce you to another tactic that works similarly to the Giant combination and his Magic Awakening. We'll then see how far you can get without units like Ice Demon, Dark Elemental, Quetzalcoatl, Seer, Judicator or Crypt. The tactic that works almost exactly the same as the Magic Awakening of the Giant, which can empty entire waves in the Crypt, is the use of Death Ripple as the marked spell, which I show you here. Death Ripple triggers the Dark Elemental's Shadow Shield ability, which in turn triggers the Umbral Permeation ability, which I detailed in my last video. Put simply, Death Ripple causes Dark Elemental to kill all enemy units, the whole wave of zombies on screen, with a damage of 3% of his HP. That's this skill. Let's see the whole thing in action. Turned off auto mode and then just cast all spells manually. So we clone our Dark Elemental, and we can use Death Ripple to clear entire waves if the Dark Elemental is not already clearing them, like this one. It was a bad attempt because we had only 130 something million at the 1.50 mark, and there are scores of 148, 50, and sometimes 150 million even possible at this point. The same as the 1 minute mark, it's a very bad score. So let's skip it and do it again. It's all about RNG in this mode. It's also possible that you play this mode on auto mode and just turn off the auto mode until or if Death Ripple is ready, and then just cast the Death Ripple manually to achieve the most of it. So now you can see 1 minute and we achieved 284 million. That's a bit higher than before. And now on 50 seconds we got 370 million. That's not that bad. Besides that, you don't have to use any skills here. So that's just for the trigger. Except if you would play with Giant, then you could also use another spell to trigger his Magic Awakening, because with his fifth, if I remember correctly, was the 5th star. With his 5th Awakening star, every spell can trigger his Magic Awakening, not only if you buff him with a support spell. That's why the Magic Awakening strategy with Giant is still working if you have him. So we managed to achieve higher scores before, but now we dropped a bit in terms of damage. Because regularly we would have to hit 700 million already, and now we are a little bit behind. That's why it's all about RNG in this mode. So now you can see here 767 million without the last wave on top. So that was just to show you the tactic. Feel free to adapt it and hope you can reach some higher scores with this tactic. Otherwise, if you don't have Death Ripple as a marked spell, or it's not working for you, I would recommend to use the Giant Magic Awakening, because that's 100% guaranteed clear of the wave if you use some high cast emblems on the Giant. Now let's have a look at the kind of free-to-play version. So we remove all those overpowered units, like this one, and this one. The title elemental is free-to-play, and just an R unit, but I recommend you to get the weapon to 3 stars. That's very important. Besides that, people use often monks just for the mana regeneration buff. Storm Elemental is very, very good at killing enemies. Same with Magic Awakening, although Magic airship is an SR Plus unit, so not everybody has it. It can be decent to buff the entire team. Very important is the GOG, or the Awakened Magog version, which should be equipped with anger emblems. That's why you can see here this ultimate skill is 4 level higher, it's level 19, because with this firewall the zombies get killed pretty easy. And that was the strategy back then, when we had no other options like Ice Demon, Dark Elemental, and so on. Also very important to buff the GOGs is the use of Archmage, which is now becomes Enchanter with Draken. Pretty useful. And then, yeah, you have the choice which unit you have. Some people play more Conflux units, some people also use Silver Pegasus, some people use Wasport, some people use even Rock or Efreti. Depends fully on your team. Although I think almost everybody has a Judicator, so you could add Judicator and put it in front or behind the monks to have the instant domain. And yeah, I don't think we have any players without an Judicator, but yeah, let's remove it and test out. Also, a great unit for Crypt mode is Beholder. It works same like Storm Elemental, but it's an SR Plus unit. You don't need any Awakening Stars or something else, or the weapon. That's not necessary. Some people, I saw also some people added Cyclops or Water Elemental, Ice Elemental in this setup. Even a Troll with his domain can clear entire waves if he gets lucky with the main skill. And also an SR Plus unit which can be useful here is the Druid, or the Awakened Archdruid, which can buff the units around him. So the free-to-play version heavily depends which unit you have, and of course if you have been lucky with SR Plus units, because free-to-play players also can get SR Plus units, for example from the Guild vs Guild modes, Holy City Siege on weekends, or with the right now happening auto chess mode, which also offers some souls for SR Plus units. So this one is a pretty cheap unit. Of course, you can obtain him from Tower Altar. If you don't have him, he is pretty good in Crypt. As you can see here, just from the power sets, almost nobody has emblems, or not that strong emblems. I added Grand Elf, the Awakened Wood Elf, to buff all these people with his weapon, which add 10% attack on top of it. And yeah, supports I can completely remove them. And the anti-chance are not really that important. You could use Gelu because he had a 3% crit damage here, but if your units crit, the zombies should be dead already. Some other people play also with regnan Archer. Yeah, as I said, you can use some lineups and you can try some lineups that are obtainable for you or that you like to play. Genie is also an option because you can add Genie in and then see if the buffs he provides lands on the right units. So let's work with this kind of cheap lineup. Can deactivate the domains because we have no units already, and the Crypt roster lineup, but I will stick with my regular one. And of course you can use other artifacts. I already activated Crypt mode. Crypt mode is in this case just without any artifacts, so I even removed the artifacts I mentioned in my last stream, like Angelic Alliance, Hawkeye was also included, but the Metal Spirit Head and the Dragon Father artifact. So this one is without any artifacts, just to see if it's working. And we're not playing with the Magic Waiting, we're still keeping with the Death Rebel. Let's see how it works. Very important in this strategy is to clone your gogs. So you can't play this on auto mode except if you place the gogs on top and then try to use it. As you can see here, we are already some millions behind. We could try to trigger Giant's Magic Awakening with this. And as you can see here now, Death Ripple isn't working. Giant Magic Awakening is working, as you can see here. Wave got cleared, but yeah, you're pretty behind if you don't add some fancy units. You can try the next mode with Dark Elemental, and you can see here we are 100 million behind. And oh, where's the God clone? Where is it? And just keep cloning the clones. Try to Magic Awakening the Giant. Clear ways, but yeah, it's pretty behind the other strategy. So if you have some fancy units like Dark Elemental, like Ice Demon, like Quetzalcoatl, like Seer, like Judy, play them in this mode because yeah, they are just adding a lot of damage. As you can see here now, we are 200 million behind. Almost 200 million. 170 million. So let's try some Awakening. Yeah, 400 million now. Now we are officially 210 million behind. And before Ice Demon came out, if I remember correctly, I was able to deal around 500, 550 or 600 million damage. But I guess it was around 550. Yeah. 530 million. So let's add, for example, the airship. And we are removing the monks for it. And can't Magic Awakening. No, let's do it on this side. This. So, and now we can speed off the first clones and Magic Awakening the Giant and the airship, and at the same time. So let's see. Also keep in mind I didn't put any fancy emblems on those units. So if we're using higher casted emblems, could also do some more damage. It's just a quick comparison between those kind of free-to-play compilations and super strong like Cropping Team and Crypt. But yeah, as you can see here, the numbers shown are pretty behind compared to units like Ice Demon and Dark Elemental. Dark Elemental is so far the best unit for this mode, even at 3 stars. So you don't need a 6-star Dark Elemental. That's not necessarily needed for this mode. Just have him at 3 stars and use, for example, this strategy with Death Ripple, or pair him with Giant and use second Magic Awakening. It's completely up to you and to your lineup, of course. Keep the clones cloning, and then hope for some good RNG. Nice placement of the Firewall ability. If they spread around the whole area, it's pretty awesome to achieve some good damage. Right now, it's compared to the other strategies, it's super behind it. Much less effective. Last try we had 530 million. Now we have around 570 million. So if you have it, add units like Ice Demon or Dark Elemental or even a Judicator or a Seer. Seer can also work wonders here with his domain. And keep in mind, we don't use any supports, so we can also add every support unit you have. Let's stick with the cheap ones, like this one. Cyclops, Dragon should also be available for everybody, and of course Watermental. We have casters. Level 3 we need more range units, so let's add Lizardman and some Orcs. And then do it again. But let's first remove the seer again and see how far we can come with some more support team and support units. Use Magic Awakening and yeah, speed it a little bit up. But we are still around 200 million behind. So yeah, it's not that effective, and probably if you don't use another Magic Awakening skill for the giant, should be the maximum around 550 million. With some RNG, of course. Yeah, 530 million. So let's add the seer, which is pretty great also, and a lot of people have him. Don't forget to activate his domain, and also activate Judicator's domain as well, because we will use him later. And then you can see now his domain clear also the entire wave. It's now his domain triggered, and his skills, as you can see here, his skills also add a lot of damage, but it's not worth it to clone him. And now we are around 40 million behind. Don't forget the Magic Awakening. I'll speed a little bit up. As you can see, we are still far behind. Now around 400 million right now, but around 300 in total. So adding seer wasn't a good choice. Or we had some real bad RNG. Could also happen. And let's add this one again, and then we will remove some other units for seer. For example, the beholder, and do it again, and see how far we can go with this land. So far, we are still around 200 million behind, but as you can see here, now we could reach around 570 million compared to the 530 million we had before. So seer is quite good, as well as the Wood Elf weapon. So if you can spare some weapon tokens, he's very great. Also for PvE modes like Static, of course, as well, and Dragon Animation. It's a very good unit. So we could also add in the Judicator, because it's a highly available unit for most people. And domain is active, and let's see how far we can go in this lineup. As you can see so far here, we're able to bump up our score again. We're now at 420 million at 30 seconds, so just 100 million behind compared to the super expensive team, which I used in the very first tries. So, as you can see here now, we are using only Judicator and Seer for some fancy modes, and they both are very versatile. So it's highly possible that you have one or even two of them. And now we're bumping the score up to 750, 650, 640 million. Not that bad compared to the 500 something we had before without Judicator and Seer. Now let's do this with an Ice Demon. We can remove some of the units. For example, we could remove Seer or Judy. Let's remove Seer. And I didn't activate his domain, so it's kind of like you would use a 3-star unit. Of course, his stats are a bit better, but yeah, compared to that, it's just to see how he can impact this mode. And if you have an Ice Demon, I would recommend that you clone the Ice Demon. I misplaced it, but yeah, it's pretty important because Ice Demon skills can clear entire waves because of his high attack speed and the skill set he has. So it's very important to stop clone Gogs in that mode if you have an Ice Demon available. As you can see here now, all damage raised again, around 435 million in the first try. So we're not doing multiple tries, just to give you a hint what's possible here and which units are an improvement. So let's speed a little bit up. Keep buffing and keep cloning. And so far we are around 80 million behind now. And we're just using Judicator and Ice Demon. And we're still around 80 million behind, because you should reach at 20-second mark around 600, 610 million damage or more. So keep cloning and keep buffing. Yeah, wave got cleared by a giant. Ice Demon hitting here as well. And yeah, 670 million, which fits my memory with what I was able to achieve before Dark Elemental came out. So let's do another trick and add the seer for airship. Some people don't have airship, but this time, no, we stick without Ice Demon. So let's see. Adding seer will buff our damage even higher. Keep in mind we had around 670 million. And keep cloning the Ice Demon. And speed it up. So we're around 60 million behind compared to the numbers you should achieve at the breakpoints before. And let's check how the 30-second mark is. 470 million, yeah, it's around 60 million behind. We can also and activate the domain in the next run just to see if that will improve the score or not. So we should reach maybe 700 million. Yeah, of course, we've reached 700 million. Yep, nice. So that's how you can improve 740 million. That's how you can improve your score. And now let's activate his domain skill, which adds some attack speed. It's not that much needed, but yeah, we take everything we get. And let's speed it a little bit up. Don't forget the clones. And yeah, with proper placement, if you would have, or if I would have placed Ice Demon and the spot where the giant is right now, we could play this in auto mode and just see Dragon's AI cloning the isomental. So the bed around 30-40 million behind compared to a super expensive layout. Yeah, around 60 million. Not a bad for a kinda cheap person. If you have the choice for this mode, take Seer and Ice Demon. If you don't have Dark Elemental, of course. If you have an, use him, he's the most versatile champion unit. And with some bunkers damage in this mode too, but overall it's a super versatile unit like Sister and Judicator. And yeah. Otherwise, behind Dark Elemental, it's Ice Demon on the top ranks, rank 2, I would put him, and Seer behind on rank 3 and Judy on rank 4 for this mode. As you can see now, some bad RNG, we already were able to reach about 700 million, 740 million if I remember correctly, and now we have some 34, 35 million less compared to the previous try. Yes, as I mentioned, if you have the ability to obtain Dark Elemental, of course, go for Dark Elemental and use them here, even at 3 stars. It's a very good investment for this mode because you can reach very high rank due to his skill set, especially if you pair him with the Spellmark Death Ripple. As I showed you before, some shenanigans. If you don't have Dark Elemental, but you have for example, Judicator or Seer or even Ice Demon, use one of them or all of them if you can, if you already have them or if you can afford them. Except Ice Demon, Seer and Judicator are super versatile. You can add them into every team and they will strengthen every team they're in. Judicator with his immunity and of course with his domain. If you bring him to 6 stars, but he's also useful at 3 stars. Seer as well with his domain, of course, at 6 stars, which is a super great global buff for the whole team. So if you have one of them, use them. If you don't have Ice Demon, but one of these units still clone Gox, because Gox will do the most damage here, except if you have Seer or Ice Demon at this moment. Sister, super high versatile unit as well. Fully depends on your lineup, of course, on some drop luck, for example, for some SR Plus units, but as you can see here now, we are not using any SR Plus unit. You could also replace Giant with Storm Elemental if you have one of these lineups available. Add in units like Sister or Crate if you have them, if you're playing Cove, which is a very expensive faction, for example. But this or the previously shown units with Monk and Storm Elemental, for example, or Beholder, if you are able to get your hands on it, are very, very cheap. And as I showed, you can also reach some high numbers with them. So you're not stick to the 500 something million you are able to achieve with just God cloning. If you have Giant and, for example, Magic Airship as well, use instead of this Death Rebel, use another support spell to buff the Giant to trigger his Magic Awaken and let him clear entire waves. But that I mentioned in my previous script video. So guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I was able to deliver some new tactics for you, especially the one with Death Ripple. And besides that, I am happy if you can adapt some of these cheaper lineups. If you have any suggestions for your lineups, or say, hey, Richie, test some other lineups in Crypt or another PvE mode, let me know, and I will do. Let me know in the comments, and I will do it. See you guys. Also,